Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Uh, Assalamu alaikum to all of you, and most welcome to this lecture to deliberate on the topic that is in front of us. Um, my name is Khalfan Abdullah. I'm a consultant on Islamic finance, halal business management, among others. I work with or I consult with Abrar Consult, but also I work with SIB Najah, which is an Islamic investment banking division that is based in Nairobi. Today, I want to deliberate on this topic on the rationale for state-owned bank to embrace and other financial institutions and non-financial institutions to embrace Islamic finance. So we are going to look at a few points, just a bit overview on Islamic finance, and then look at some few principles, and then look at the landscape of state-owned banks and other institutions in Tanzania. And of course, within that quick review of the financial landscape and other institutions in Tanzania, we're going to also look at the rationale to adopt Islamic finance within these institutions, and then deliberate on a bigger question as to what needs to be done for state-owned banks and other institutions in Tanzania to adopt. The presumption from this presentation is that Tanzania has been one of the early adopters of Islamic finance in East African region. Started Islamic finance, Islamic banking in 2008, largely driven by private sector. But the public sector, there has been some support, particularly on the policymakers and the regulators, but state-owned institutions have been lagging behind in terms of adoption. So that is a presumption, that's the context as to this lecture. So when you look at the global space, the latest report on Islamic finance industry, the state of Islamic finance, shows that the industry has reached a $6 trillion as of 2024. Of course, the largest chunk of this asset is within Islamic banking, followed by Sukuk, then Islamic funds, then other Islamic financial institutions, and the list is held by takaful companies. Islamic finance assets has been growing over the years, as you can see, and is projected to reach $9.7 trillion by 2029. The number of Islamic financial institutions has been a mixed between conventional and full-fledged, and we can see that Windows and Islamic, full-fledged institutions support each other or work together within different markets globally. So this is the state of industry. There has been several development across regions, which I will not be discussing them, so that we have a good time to deliberate on the topic of the day. Now, understanding from that understanding that the industry has been growing, we need to a little bit remind ourselves of the principles. What are the principles that underpin Islamic finance? And I've categorized them into two blocks. One is promotion of. But Islamic finance promotes asset-based financing. It promotes risk sharing. It promotes ethical practices and ethical investments. It promotes sanctity of contracts. Commercial contracts needs to be respected by parties, And it's not just a legal obligation, but a religious obligation to respect contracts. Also, it promotes inclusiveness. That is, the products and services offered to serve or to meet the needs of both Muslim, non-Muslim, atheists, everybody. And this is a unique feature, among others, of Islamic finance, being an asset-based risk sharing, among others. It prohibits, it stays far away from interest, any commercial contracts, any financial products that is designed with an element of interest that is a no-go zone, speculation, excessive gharar, any products that in a way exposes parties to gharar. It is a no-go zone. It avoids zero-sum games, the gambling. Also, Islamic finance avoid promoting unethical investments or investment that have a social harm. And they talk about here the alcohol, we talk about cigarettes, and the like. Also, it abhors and avoids unethical practices. Unethical practices. So, Islamic finance combines finance with ethics, and this must go hand to hand. And this doesn't mean that it is perfect. As you know, Islamic finance is still driven by people who are prone to faults, but that is something else. But from the theory, from the code of conduct for the profession, it has to be ethical. Okay, there should be no bribery. There should be no nepotism. There should be no discriminations and things like that. But when you see them, this is human weaknesses, but not what Islamic finance stands for, as a concept, as an idea, as a system, as a system of financial of finance. Now, coming back to our topic, uh, in our countries, particularly Tanzania, Kenya, and I believe in many other countries, we have private financial institutions, private-owned financial institutions, and state-owned financial institutions, and other institutions as well. So in Tanzania, at a bigger picture, we have different players in the financial sector. We have banks, we have microfinance, we have capital markets, we have insurance firms, and we have social security. This is according to the recently released National Financial Inclusion Framework 2023 to 2028, that was released, I think, last year. So according to that report, we have almost 44 banks, and this has been an increment from what we used to have in the past. Microfinance institution has been increasing as well, capital markets player, among others. Now, within this, with the financial sector, there are also other sectors that are not financial per se, but really are the brain houses for the financial sector and for the economy at large. And these are educational institutions, universities, and so on. Universities are the one that supplies the manpower to be able to drive our economy at large. So in my presentation, I will also focus on them as to what extent they have adopted or failed to adopt Islamic finance, despite Tanzanian market having players, having institutions that offer Islamic financial services. So when we look at state-owned banks and non-banking financial institutions in Tanzania, this is my quick pick, what I was able to gather. There are state-owned banks, the likes of Azania, Tanzania Commercial Bank, Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank, TAB Maendeleo, we have People's Bank of Zanzibar, Bank of Tanzania, and TAB Rasilimali. Now, if we look at these state-owned banks, and here I mean those that are owned 100% by the government. I know there are other banks of which the government have a stake, the like of SeraDB, the likes of NMB, the likes of Cope Bank. Okay, I haven't included them, but it is worth mentioning that my focus here is those that are owned 100% by the state, by the government, on behalf of the people of Tanzania. In these banks, it is only People's Bank of Zanzibar. People's Bank of Zanzibar is the only bank that has Islamic window. And it started very many years ago. And for that, we really see that this is a good trend that state-owned banks also embrace this new way of banking, adopt Islamic finance. And as you understand, Zanzibar is 98% is Muslims. So no wonder that this bank took a proactive action to be able to adopt faster, given that it is population where it is largely based. It has a significant Muslim base. But also the mainland actually has much more bigger Muslim base, basically, because if you talk of Zanzibar, a population of less than 5 million, 2 million actually, less than 2 million, just the city of Dar es Salaam itself, it has a population of more than 5 million. And Dar es Salaam, we can say it could be 50-50, or more than 50% are Muslims living in Dar es Salaam. But the Tanzania as a whole, the data is contested. There are those that say Muslim are the majority in terms of 40%, and Christians other percent. I don't want to go into those statistics because we don't have official statistics in Tanzania with regards to religious distribution. But we get this from third party like CIA and some pre-independent data that have set up such kind of a demographic on religious basis. But now we don't have concrete data. But for sure, the Tanzanian mainland has more Muslim population compared just to Zanzibar itself. So, unfortunately, state-owned banks in Tanzania mainland that operates even in Zanzibar, they don't have even Islamic windows within them. Also, coming to non-banking financial institutions and regulatory authorities, we also have a number of institutions, as you can see. We have NIC, that is an insurance company, national insurance company. We have Tannery, which is a Tanzania insurance company. We have Zanzibar Insurance Company. Again, good story is Zik being owned by government of Zanzibar, also introduced the Takaful, Zik Takaful, okay, which is quite a very a good trend. We have social security funds, NSSF, PSSF, and ZSSF. Again, ZSSF being based in Zanzibar, it has recently, actually this year, introduced Islamic social security schemes. That is a good thing. Then you have fund management firm, UTT Amis is a fund manager for several schemes, but again, it doesn't have any fund under Islamic finance. We have self microfinance. Then we have TTCL Pesa. TTCL Pesa operates in the mobile space. This is the mobile money farm, and that is owned by the government of Tanzania. The likes of Voda Pesa and M-Pesa Yas, yeah, Airtel Money, and so on. So TTCL also have it is a subsidiary of TTCL Pesa. Then we have Watumishi Housing Investment, which manages what is called the Faida Fund. So it's a fund management company owned by the government again, or government parastatals, which is NSSF, PSSF, are the ones that own this thing. If I'm not mistaken, then you have Deposit Insurance Board, you have Higher Education Student Loan Board, you have the National Economic Empowerment Council, Baraza la Taifa la Uwezeshaji. We have National Health Insurance Fund. Then you have these are regulatory bodies, TIRA and CMSA. Now, it's good to mention here that Bank of Tanzania is a regulator, but is also a player within the banking sector. So as a regulator, Bank of Tanzania has been supportive to the Islamic banks, Islamic banking. And of recently, we heard that from the governor that there are prospects of having an Islamic banking regulation in Tanzania. Perhaps next year we might see it to light. So it has been supportive to the Islamic banking industry to that extent of now coming to regulate it formally, officially, but itself needs also to do a lot of things. Being the lender of last resort, it needs to have instruments to enable these Islamic banks that operates access in case of any challenges in liquidity or also. But also Bank of Tanzania have special credit facilities for specific industries like agriculture. Bank of Tanzania is eager to promote agricultural investments, and it has opened a window basically to offer commercial banks at a very reasonable interest rate, commercial banks that wants to lend to the agricultural sector. Now, given that that product, that scheme is based on interest, then definitely Islamic banks are locked out because they cannot access that facility. So even if they want to finance agriculture and they want to access these funds from the central bank under this window, they cannot because they will have to borrow on interest from the central bank, which is in violation of the principles. So it has to do. It has to look at some of these issues and do some things, which will come to it later. TIRA again is another regulatory body that is very supportive, and this is by nature is just a regulator, doesn't get involved in much of the business directly. So it has issued takaful guideline, and for that we really applaud this adoption. It has been one of the first actually regulatory bodies to issue guideline on takaful in Tanzania, followed by Capital Markets and Securities Authority, which also have issued some guideline, particularly on sukuk guidelines. So we applaud these regulators in totality for their adoption. They have already adopted Islamic finance in one way or the other, which is a good thing. But of course, a lot more needs to be done. As I said, any economy is not about just having this institution, financial institutions, but you also need to look at knowledge-based institutions, the institutions that train the workforce for the economy. Now, Tanzania has a number of education institutions owned by the government, the like of the Farmers UDISM, one of the oldest institution in the country, academic institution in the country. You have UDOM, you have, sorry, here is a typo. This is supposed to be Institute of Accountancy in Arusha. So it should be IAA. Then you have Zumba University, IFM. We have Suza State University of Zanzibar. We have Open University. We have Sokoine University of Agriculture. We have College of Business Education. We also have Tanzania Institute of Accountancy. There are many, there could be others, but these are just a few that are picked, which I know owned by the government. Now, to my knowledge, none of these educational institutions have in any way embraced or adopted Islamic finance programs, educational programs, or have started any of educational programs. But private universities have done so. We have Muslim University, which has programs on Islamic finance. We have Zanzibar University that also have a programs up to masters on Islamic banking and finance. Actually, this year it is first batch of master students on Islamic finance graduated this year, which is a good news. It's a good news. But we ask ourselves, what about these state-owned educational institutions? Why don't they also develop programs or integrate in their programs Islamic finance subjects in order to be able to supply manpower that are skilled, that are required by the market? Now, shortly, people might be wondering, but why we need Islamic finance to these institutions? The answer is based on what Islamic finance brings. And what it brings, among others, is financial inclusion. It combines ethics and finance. It promotes the real sector because the finance sector and the real sector are linked within Islamic financial instruments. And that ensures the country financial stability and prevent financial crises, but also leads to alleviating poverty and sharing prosperity. Islamic finance, that means any segment that is excluded, the like of Muslims who don't transact on interest-based arrangement, would like to access agricultural loans within Tanzania Agricultural Bank, but they don't have the right products, instruments to be able to meet their needs, and these exclude them, and as we know, majority of our people are in the agriculture, and agriculture require huge investments, and it is associated, of course, with also a lot of risks. So Islamic finance would bring more investments to that sector, and has help in alleviating poverty and sharing prosperity. But also Islamic finance brings a diversity of products. It's not about debtor lender, debtor creditor relationships. It brings the concepts of profit sharing as well, or risk sharing as well, through diverse range of products, sale-based products, loan-based products, lease-based products, as well as partnership products, which is quite important to have in an economy or within a financial institutions, in order to cater diverse needs of the people. So this is the benefits that comes with Islamic finance to an economy. Now, why, or the rationale, why it matters for state-owned banks, for example, to adopt Islamic finance. These are my few reasons as to why state-owned banks needs to embrace Islamic finance. I've mentioned some of this in my previous talk, but here is where now I sum it up. For state-owned banks, I think we all know that 2023, and even before that, I think Many years ago, we had started issuing national financial inclusion frameworks. Okay, so the most latest one is the National Financial Inclusion Framework 2023-2028. And this framework requires financial institutions to, to fill the gap of financial exclusion. These are willingly people willingly excluding themselves from the financial sector. Could be for many reasons, including cultural, social reasons. And under this cultural and social reason, this is where you find faith-based people or population that culturally, socially, they don't believe on interest as a mechanism in their transactions or in their contracts. So they exclude themselves. Now, why it matters for Tanzania Commercial Bank to adopt is to mitigate against financial exclusion risks. More importantly, to implement this national financial inclusion framework. The private sector has been doing very good. Over the years, I have been seeing private sector players coming in, but the public sector, state-owned institutions have been very either slow or no progress on adopting this national financial inclusion framework by developing products that enable the people to access them or to mitigate against financial exclusion risks. So it matters for that reason to mitigate against financial exclusion risks. Financial sector deepening. Another reason is to deepen the financial sector and development, as well as fuel economic growth and development. We need state-owned institutions to come in as well, so that to deepen the sector. As you know, private sector institution, there could be industries that they are more fearful, more risky to them. But we know state-owned banks, for good reason, might intervene in promoting certain sectors within the economy, take the risks. So, for example, the Agricultural Development Bank, we know agriculture is contributing a lot to our GDP, but is one of the sectors that receive less financing by the commercial banks, particularly private banks. So we need state-owned banks like the Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank to come up with Islamic financial products in order to deepen this sector, to enable those who have huge investment in agriculture, want to invest in agriculture, who are Muslim faith, to be able to access these facilities under good terms, like other nationals, like other customers. Also, another rationale is to implement the third five-year development plan, which comes, of course, to an end next year. This five-year development plan had foresaw and had called for financial institutions and regulators to adopt Islamic finance in their practices. And finally, I think we need these state-owned banks to embrace Islamic financial institutions to embrace Islamic finance for integration with the global Islamic financial landscape, which we have seen. Islamic finance is no longer a side player is becoming mainstream in many advanced markets. So we can't live in isolation. We need to, the public sector needs also to come up and join and be part of the global Islamic financial landscape. Remember, the financial inclusion framework, which I mentioned, had a vision. And the vision of that framework says they want Tanzania to have universal access to and usage of broad range of affordable and quality financial products and services that improve financial well-being and livelihood. So just sticking to interest-based financial instruments, you limit yourself. You are not becoming broad. And the vision of the national framework requires you to have a broad range of affordable and quality financial products and services. So this is very important to be held in mind, particularly by the leaders of this state-owned institution. Now, looking at other institutions, particularly educational institutions, educational institution plays a very crucial role in the development of any country. They are the institution that develop people in terms of building skills and expertise that is needed to the economy. And for that, for many years, these universities have been producing engineers, doctors, and business people, accountants, auditors, you name it. Different professionals are made within this institution to serve the industry, to serve the economy at large. Now, Islamic finance is a subset within the financial sector. However, we find that the public education institutions haven't yet done its role here. Its role effectively by producing competitive and competent Tanzanians with knowledge on Islamic finance in order to develop this sector, build on the manpower to develop this sector further. And when we talk to develop this sector, it doesn't mean just the Tanzanian, but if we look at our neighbors, the region is opening up to Islamic finance. Uganda, Zambia, and other countries within sub-Saharan Africa are opening up to Islamic finance. And they need manpower. They need manpower. So we need to position ourselves as a hub of education on Islamic finance. And private sector, private-led educational institutions have done this, have done something, as I mentioned earlier, Muslim University of Morogoro and Zanzibar University, but that's not enough. We need state-owned education institutions to play their role. Why? Number one is to implement the 2014 educational and training policy. Okay, the education sector is guided by this policy issued 2023 or revised in 2023. And this policy requires education institution in the country to enhance human resource development to prepare skilled and knowledgeable Tanzanians. Now, if you don't have the globe is opening to Islamic finance that requires human resources, but center of knowledges that are owned by the government are not developing anything, are not contributing anything to that. We're missing a bigger picture here. We're missing a bigger opportunity to skill our people and be able to open opportunities for them at the global picture, not just looking at the maybe a smaller Islamic finance industry in Tanzania. Also, the policy requires to update the curricula to meet national development needs and enhance global job market competitiveness. So I think we are missing a bigger opportunity here. If we are not investing, we are not opening up to new programs, Islamic finance programs, if we are not even integrating these programs to the maybe existing programs, that means our people might not be very competitive at the global stage. I'll give an example of some countries that export a lot of professionals on Islamic finance to other countries, and it adds a lot of value to their home countries. Quick in my mind here is Pakistan and Malaysia. If you go to Dubai today, the financial industry, particularly Islamic finance industry, is full of Pakistanis who have been trained in Pakistani universities, among others, and they are able to become expatriates to the Gulf region, in Dubai, in Saudi, Bahrain, and other places. Okay, that is because of the education system, among others, that have equipped them, and now this manpower is exported. And with that export of manpower, you have a lot of remittances to your country. So that's one example. The other example is Malaysia. Malaysia is also exporting manpower on Islamic finance globally, globally, globally. And that's because, of course, their education system, the universities have adopted Islamic finance in a very massive way to train and equip Malaysians on this new knowledge, new skill, and and they are exporting this manpower to other countries. Even giving few example in our local context, I have an example, and myself is an example of the benefits of investing in Islamic finance knowledge, and then you become an expatriate in other countries. I know colleagues that I worked with many years ago who are working in Oman, and these were graduates of Zanzibar University. Okay, they were able to get opportunities and go and work in Oman as an Islamic, as a Sharia, uh, as a Sharia compliance officers, and so on. Myself have been working in other countries, an expatriate as an expert on Islamic finance. But of course, the knowledge was from Uganda. I acquired the knowledge from Uganda and from UK, among other, and from Malaysia, among other places. We need to grow these talents within our countries, equip our people so that they can be able to pursue opportunities at the global level. So state-owned education institution is to play a role here. Otherwise, I will be missing a big opportunities locally and also abroad. So I think these sum up the rationale for uh, education institution to embrace Islamic finance programs to build a competitive manpower. Looking at International Organization for Islamic Finance, Islamic finance is not operating in isolation. There are well-known organizations globally that plays a significant role in supporting its growth and its development. And these are some of them, which I don't want to go into detail. You can check on their websites, and you get to know what they do and so on. More importantly, on the education side, is the Islamic Research and Training Institute, which is based in Jeddah, one of the oldest institute to build manpower for Islamic finance industry. So public-owned education institution that wonders where to start, how to go about it, they can always learn from these other institutes, either in Saudi Arabia or in Pakistani or in Malaysia, among others, in order to move forward. Finally, Islamic finance has made significant development over decades. In Tanzania, we have some private sector and some public sector institutions that have made significant move. However, we need to be strategic in our deliberation so that Tanzania can be a hub of Islamic finance in East Africa. Thus, we need to ask ourselves, particularly managers or shareholders of these state-owned financial institutions, for how long are they going to wait and see before adopting Islamic finance? Then we need also to ask ourselves, participants who are here and other interested stakeholders, what support needed to this institution in order to adopt? What do we need to do to help this institution to adopt? Finally, what shall drive adoption? Is it consumers? Is it owners? Is it the management? Is it scholars, the general public that will drive adoption of Islamic finance to these institutions? These are questions that we might need to ask those leaders in these state-owned institutions, but also we need to ask ourselves what role can we play in order to enable this institution adopt Islamic finance. This brings me to an end, and I look forward to your contributions on these questions. Thank you so much. Now I open the floor to you to share your thoughts. Anyone who is ready to share can raise up a hand, or you can write your comments on the comments. You can write your thoughts on the comment section, and I'll read it for all of us. That being said, thank you so much. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. Anyone who wants to contribute or ask questions, feel free. If you have a contribution or a question to ask, you are most welcome. Okay, looks like there is no question or comment. So my conclusion would be there are many reasons. There are many reasons as to why state-owned banks, financial institutions, and educational institutions as to why they need to embrace Islamic finance. But I believe they need the support. They need the support from the experts, scholars, in order to adopt Islamic finance. Islamic finance is knowledge-based. If you don't have that knowledge, you cannot move forward. So we should be strategic in engaging these institutions for purpose of number one, sharing knowledge or exchange knowledge, and of course help them to design and develop proper structures for them to offer Islamic finance. So we need to
Hello, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope I can be heard.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe I might not have so much of contribution, but I wouldn't let this presentation end without even saying at least thank you for the nice presentation. To me, it has been very, very, very informative and very encouraging, in fact. I was just wondering, I don't know who are in the audience. I've been listening. I haven't been looking at the slides, but I paid close attention to the presentation. I'm not sure who are the real participants. I guess the majority might be the people, like myself, ordinary people with little knowledge in finance. But however, this has been eye-opening to me, and I believe to many others as well. So to me, what I see is really it's not just a glimpse of hope, but I think we are doing very well in Tanzania, and I think we are making the strides. Just the fact that there's this framework for financial inclusion, and the announcement of the Bank of Tanzania to regulate the Islamic banking. I think that's a very good opportunity. And so far, so we can say we are here legally. I don't know. Uh, but I think what now needs is a very little push. Uh, you you asked as to who has to start it. I think it's from the both sides. In the first place, I think it's a misconception that without riba, uh, there's no business or there's no income generation, so to speak. So I think this is the notion that is prevailing among many people as far as Islamic concept is concerned. As long as there is no interest, then why should I invest? But I think it's the lack of knowledge, of which now I think it has already become more and more known to the people. You've talked of Takaful and the regulator being one of the countries where the regulator has recognized it. So I think we are in a good position. Now, what we need, maybe as a common people like myself, I don't know, maybe we need to advocate more, uh, on using these finance services like Islamic finance services. Remember, Islamic banking came into being, well, I can safely say in the recent years. So some of us have been in the banking for quite a long time. We've had these, bank accounts, the conventional banking accounts. And I think some of us have kept those bank accounts to date without, changing and to adopting, although there is that availability of the Islamic window. But we we still see more or less no difference between them, and therefore we take things as they are. Uh, so maybe as individuals like myself, if we take the initiatives and maybe we take the initiative of also not only doing it ourselves, but also encouraging others, to to use the Islamic banking system. If there's that fully fledged Islamic bank, or you can even use that window which has and it's now open in many banks. So that alone will make the banks themselves realize that there is there are customers, so to speak, of the products that will come on Islam. Because as of now, if they look at we have this Halfan, this of man, and they have these normal accounts, and they do the conventional banking. They take loans and pay interest. So uh, the market is not all that. It doesn't seem to be that big. But if at all of us as Muslims adopt at least have accounts that follow Islamic Sharia, that alone will show how big the market is. Because if you want to sell a kind of a product on the banking side now, the bank will look, do I really have enough customers for this? And if they realize, because they have those numbers, they know how they are customers, they see how many are in the Islamic windows, how many are in the conventional banking, and therefore they can see really that kind of demand. Maybe by doing so, we can have that demand. So the other thing, I started by asking, I don't know how many, I mean, who are the individuals who are in this, and I presume that most of them are common people like myself with little knowledge in finance. This presentation of yours has been very, very deep and extensive to me. And I thought it was supposed to be presented in a certain, some kind of a symposium of, economic symposium or something like that, where you have these stakeholders whom you've been mentioning from the beginning, the universities, the other other players, so to speak, in the banking industry, so that we can have them and open up a dialogue. Maybe we
Sure.
need to initiate it ourselves, you know, calling these people, these stakeholders in one room and, initiate this discussion. Because for the Islamic, I don't know, let's say we need to, for the educational institutions,
Yeah.
for them, in order to, to start a certain course in Islamic banking, they need to be assured of, having those students who will be the students, and if those students are really going to have some kind of a role to play in the society after graduation. So if we talk, and like the way you have tried to point out the rationale for them if being inclusive, I think if we have that kind of discussion, maybe it will help, push forward these movements. So once again, thank you so much for the presentation. It has been a wonderful presentation. So I leave there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution. A lot to be done here, as you have pointed out. We have to fill the knowledge gap. Is Islamic finance profitable or not? The answer is yes. It's a business model, so it can be profitable. The rest is your business strategies and so on. And this has been witnessed by those players in the private sectors. It has been a profitable domain, but subject to, of course, effective strategies to reach out to the target market and so on. And with the amount of strategies, others do well, others not that so well. As with regards to users, yes, of course, we needed to show that there is demand. And here it starts with every one of us. If you are in a bank account at Tanzania as a customer, okay, what are you doing to ask your bank to have Islamic accounts? Okay, why are you so quiet? Okay, not to demand certain services. Okay, so we have a role to play as consumers, as those who have accounts or relationship with these state-owned banks. We need to start asking for certain services that meets our needs. And if we are just quiet, that the bank sees there's no demand, no one is asking for this. Even Muslim, we see them borrowing in conventional terms, as they would say. That, we have a bigger Muslim clients here who are just borrowing under interest. So it's okay even to them. They don't see that need. So we have to change these kind of things. Being trying to conform to certain products and neglecting what we know as is a violation to our faith and faith norms and ethics and so on. So we need to express ourselves, but also take note that yes, this kind of discussion needs also to have stakeholders within these institutions present. But this is a humble effort from myself, and I hope that we can after this, the recording will be uploaded on YouTube, and we'll be able to share it to those different stakeholders, but also find another time where we can be able to invite education institutions and state-owned financial institutions to deliberate what is the challenge, what holds them from adopting, given that whole landscape in Tanzania is changing. The global financial landscape is changing. The educational landscape is changing. Why is it taking us so long to adapt to these developments? That being said, we've come to an end. So thank you all for being with us. For those who have taken time to be here, and for those who have contributed, I really appreciate your time. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again in other public lectures coming forward. Bye bye for now. Masalam.
Ma